the commission. How do you budget for mileage when that is an unknown?
May I answer that?
Okay.
That's what the amendment process is for, that we went through this morning. The budget is a living thing. It is not set in stone. So every department, and you saw a whole 2 pages worth of departments that have shifts from object code A to B within their fund, so they have budget authority. So when we review our budgets throughout the year, we can do an amendment at any time and wait till the
Right.
end of the
And
year.
I
That's
understand that.
exactly what
but then-
Debbie told me.
And I understand that, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, so we're not at $200 in March.
What we would do is we would sit down and say, okay, we have some claims coming in for $200. We do not have enough to cover them. What we need to do is look at the other line items and determine which ones of these we need to shift excess monies into travel from. And we don't have to say it's because so-and-so went to such and such. All we need to do is communicate with the rest of the commission. We have a need coming up, and we need to shift more money into travel. And here's my suggestion. We take money from such and such and move it. And the person who knows that's coming really does have that responsibility. Whether you agree with that or not, we are a team of 3. It shouldn't fall on one person's shoulders to make all those decisions. So we could look at repair and maintenance and take a couple hundred out of that. We do have a windshield coming up on the car. We have contracted services, a little bit in that we could move over. Oh, excuse me, no, that would be machinery and equipment. We could probably move over a good half of that. But if we don't know that bill is coming, or it isn't brought to our attention, we don't know, we missed the amendment process, we close out the year, and we're done.
Right.
So-
I guess for the planning purpose, I guess is what I'm saying is, obviously, we put in there $1,500 for travel.
Yeah, now, we may want to bump that up. If Franklin puts in one claim for $1,035, that's clearly 2/3 of that full budget.
That isn't all
So,
mileage, there's
maybe-
room. You stay in the
Okay, this is
hotel
travel.
at $90 a night, that adds up damn fast.
So
Oh,
maybe
yeah, I'm
what
not,
we
I'm
do
not
is-
arguing that.
Maybe what we do is we move that to 2,000 in the budget process. This is the time to do that. This is not a tough process, but it
Hell
needs to
no, it
fall
isn't.
equally on all 3 of us,
Okay.
not on just one. So as far as that one for the number 2, I would suggest we just vote on that and get it off the table so we can move on to the next one and then fix this.
Do we have a category, do we have a notice for decision, or do we need?
Yeah, we do. So I move we pay it, the claim from 5/1/14
I'll second.
for 136, I think.
132.16.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the claim from 2015, May 2014 for 132.60. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye. Franklin, are you abstaining?
Abstain, yes.
The motion, the minutes show the motion has passed with Franklin abstaining. Okay, so the next one, that's one that the year closed out, we got the claim past the closeout date. If you guys want to pay the amounts after that, we can certainly look at that. But if Franklin didn't submit his claim until after the closeout date, and most mileage claims are paid when we get them, it's just the ones where there's an issue. That one, I don't think that we're being responsible.
Which
As
one is it?
managers, every time we
Is that the same?
differ from the norm, we take away clarity and we make it harder for people to come after us and make
I
wise
use that.
decisions.
I
That's
haven't
why I'm
been
so
paid for
staunch
all
on
that. When was
following
that put
the
in?
policies.
That's a 14.
That's 2 years ago. So, do you recall, apparently you paid this after the budget closeout date for the previous budget year. Do you recall this?
I didn't even realize that one was in there, yes, well, I'd go on to the next one, actually.
Okay, so we can drop that one and go to this year's?
No, I have a
No,
question.
let's
I have a
be
question
clear,
on
but-
this one. Can I ask a question? It's handwriting up in the box there on your top third, it says, need budget rationale included by 8 18, 14, I don't know what that says, SP maybe, or something to pay. Do you see
Is that a little tiny?
Yeah.
What is that, what does that mean, and you know who wrote that?
See, some of these claims, I never found them
To
until I went to
pay
Debbie,
is
and
what
she
that says.
laid it out, what ones have been paid.
That one, I think that's been paid.
That's the one that's on your memo.
Yeah, that's this last one. Number 3.
Okay, well, no, then if that's the one, we need budget rationale, why was it submitted so late? Why was it submitted in August when there was a closeout of late July?
Is this the one that was for the previous year?
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah,
Do you know on this one?
No,
They
what's
said
the date on it?
It was it was 2.5 weeks past the deadline.
So you have, on it you have May and June of 14 for meetings, mileage reimbursement. But
That was for 180.
I guess, Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? If, and I understand that, the statute you've read, I just wanna get clarification, okay? We have not paid other claims because they were past due. They did not submit them in the proper order. Would that not, they're staying to that standard, okay?
It's
183.68.
Yeah, that's been paid. I got that in here in my paid stuff.
Oh,
well, then that
Not
was
an
an
issue.
error. But, okay, so that's done.
But so, okay, just let me have clarification on that then.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I would have to research it.
All right.
I mean, I will tell you that I was involved in budgeting very, very large things when I was in Department of Justice, and we had some stuff that it was lawsuit related that came in after our deadline, and we had to find a way to pay it. We had to go get some kind of exception, I don't know who, accounting or whoever, to do that. I mean, in fact, I think we may have had to go to the legislature to pay something. Basically, the bill came in 3 months after, and it had been incurred in the previous year, hadn't been able to get the bill before. Hopefully, we won't have to deal with that. I would say that stitch in time here is to submit all your claims on time with documentation in order to avoid this problem.
So then leads us to where we're at right now.
Yeah, I have something I have to submit, and Whitney's been on me saying, get that in or you're gonna miss the deadline.
Right.
So I know I have to do that, and if I don't submit that, then really before I leave in the next couple of days, I'm gonna eat that $300, right? I know that. So, Mr. Slivka, if you have anything from past fiscal year, you have a week to get it in, or you're not gonna get it paid. You and I will be in the same boat.
I put that, I put it in.
Just-
I'm sure I,
I'm just throwing that out
So-
there.
there's a week left, and I guess I were, just like this one here, they're making this big issue, 183. I have it in my paid claims here.
No, I mean, right now, you have something for, through June 30th that you need reimbursed. I think the deadline is this Friday, is that correct?
Mhm.
This Friday is the deadline to get it in.
This is the only one, right?
Should have all been, all mine should have been turned in.
I know mine should have.
Yeah,
been, but I
that's the
haven't
last
done it
one we
yet,
need
so.
to decide, and I think we should maybe follow the process today to help Franklin understand how this works, so that we can do this and be done with this ridiculousness.
So the last claim that has not been paid in the file that we have in the this whole scheme of things has been paid, okay? The only one left is the current, not current, but this fiscal year that just ended.
Through June 30th.
Yep, so we have one dated June 12th,
Yeah.
2016 for a total of $1,035.47, okay? So now, all that has to be done is go do a line item adjustment to cover these funds. Because I have nothing to submit to the commission. I can only speak for myself, but I have nothing to submit to the commission, so I'm not looking for any reimbursement I don't know where the other two commissioners sit, but I'm sure, as Chairman Overt stated, in line 940, we have not spent any of that line item. We can do a line item adjustment from line item 940 to 370 to cover that claim.
$1,000?
$1,035.47.
$1,035.47. All right, now we don't make a vote on that one because what we need to do is take that to Debbie. She needs to write up another resolution. She needs to put that in the legal ads of the paper for 2 weeks. That's why there's these dates. And then we need to vote on it in a public hearing, like we did today. So if there are any more, those need to be taken to Debbie. She does have some more to catch up on, so this isn't just for this one line item. But that's exactly how it works.
Okay, so now we are caught up on Commissioner Slipska's unpaid claims.
We can approve that after we have the budget authority.
110-115, I don't show this one being paid yet. 632, is that the one that,
Yeah, we paid that, that was number one.
okay.
Number one, oh, I gotta do that. Okay, so this has been paid, this will be
That's
paid,
it.
and then this
This
will
is
be
the one,
paid.
isn't it?
So these two need to be
We can
sent.
approve. This one has been paid, I understand.
What's the amount?
632.67.
That's that one.
Okay, that's what I just questioned. That's what I paid.
Right?
I don't know, I don't have a market to pay.
Unless we find more of these cell phone claims that are somewhere. That seems to be the only unanswered questions.
I can find that one, I go through this, that Debbie gave me, that was paid.
This is no more. And his, for the current one, will be voted on when we do the last resolution.
Doesn't even have to be voted on, we
Or-
can just sign it, but we
yeah.
have to have the budget authority to do so, since
Yeah.
there's 3 of us. Otherwise, you could challenge that we would end up paying part of it because of that statute, and I'd rather not be there.
You and I both.
Okay.
So, on to new business. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I would just like to request that when these come up in the future, let's have a discussion about it rather than throwing out allegations, because that didn't do us any good.
No,
So, that's all I
can
want
we-
to say.
Can we also lock up the cell phone policy so we have something to move forward on? Because we do have an issue now where unsaid person, and I don't know whose bill it is, but the reimbursement, the $20 reimbursement is more than their personal cell phone bill.
We fixed that. Remember, we
Okay.
took out reimbursement and made it payment?
Right.
That was specifically to address that issue. They will still make actually more than their bill is for,
Okay.
but it just keeps everything uniform, and that is okay with the IRS.
Okay. All right. So there. But, so can we get that final draft and
Yes,
I
I
did
just-
the notes and gave it to you.
And I've got it all ready to go. I just forgot to put the department head meeting on the agenda,
Got
so
it.
that I plan to do that now today.
perfect. Okay. Now,
Okay, close out some old business. I have here resolutions for the county commissioners for prosecutorial assistance for 3 people. One is Karen Kane, she's an assistant attorney general with the Child Protection Unit. We've had 2 new child cases come up, both on Friday. And so we're filing the stuff in the next day or so. And so she specializes in that. They help counties all the time. She's done other cases with us. So, because I'm gonna be leaving and she's agreed to file these on my behalf. So, to do that, we need to have a resolution for the county commissioners authorizing her as a special deputy county attorney for these 2 cases. And these cases, I think, she'll, either way, I probably would have had her on the cases because they're unique. And so that's one. This one's actually could be done without notice because it was an emergency that just arose and we had to file quickly. One was a, well, I won't tell you the details, but anyway, so that one I would urge to be done on an emergency basis, and then we can, you can discuss it again at your future meeting, but those are, both arose Friday, one Friday night, one Friday morning, and we're gonna file this stuff potentially tomorrow.
Do you want us to go ahead and take care of that now? and get it
Sure,
off
if you
the
want
table?
to.
Will you run the legals, and then we'll put it on the agenda following with the language of your legal?
I will, I don't know.
Just needs to be in the legals for 2 weeks.
I don't know. How have we done this in the past? Because we've done this twice before, the commission appointed somebody.
And that was done probably wrong, but resolutions have to be advertised in the legals for 2 weeks. And then we have a public hearing like we did today with the budget amendments, and then we have a decision. And it's done in open meeting. That was done in a closed door just a day after a phone call.
And didn't we discuss last Monday, not using a resolution
I think so.
Yeah, so that we could not
Yes.
have to deal with,
because you will
With
be
that.
gone?
Yeah,
I thought it was an
we've done
agreement.
these before. We've never done them as a resolution. Why is,
we've only done one that I remember, and it was a closed door.
Yeah, and
Just
I
not
know
correct.
we did discuss this Monday to not use resolution because of the 2-week advertisement issue.
7/4/2705 says, except in counties having a taxable value of $50 million or more, the board of county commissioners may employ or authorize the county attorney to employ special counsel to assist in the prosecution of any criminal case pending in the county or represent the county in a civil action. This- Okay, so how have we done these in the past? Because we did one last year.
Were they just an agreement? or-
Yeah, can we just do an agreement? Take out the word resolution.
And use agreement?
How about request?
Yes,
County
request.
attorney request for,
Let me-
what's the statute say?
Let me grab, I'm gonna go grab some. Right back. You can look at the other two. The other two are Luke Berger with Lewis and Clark County and Mary Kopenauer with the Attorney General's office. So I'll be right back.
Aren't those the ones we talked about?
Yeah, that's the name.
It's exactly right, yeah. We just need to use a different word than resolution, or else we have to follow that process.
Yes.
I hear the emergency,
Yes.
and we could certainly do that. But it, authorization
Yeah,
would work.
yeah, see, there's a resolution right on these,
And just take off the resolution, they should be fine, and the
Just-
whereases.
authorizing. Yeah, because Mary Kokenauer and Mr.
How about agreement authorizing prosecutorial service?
See, that's what I would assume,
Yeah,
because then
and it doesn't say
It's
in
gonna
here you
be-
have to do it by resolution.
past time, yeah.
Yeah, and if somebody were prosecuted under one of those and we didn't follow the process, I'm not sure that we'd have very,
Loophole.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, the last one we did in a closed door, so the public wasn't privy to that. It was incorrectly done, I think. We were requested to do it that way, but should be done in public.
Yeah, because Mary is doing the criminal and the other gentleman's doing the civil, right?
Right,
And Mako is there for, wasn't there one for Mako as well, supposed to be?
yeah. I don't know that we necessarily need an agreement
With
for
Mako?
that.
Could make one.
I would certainly hope Brian would be contacted, you know, out of courtesy, but
Sure.
he's already kind of one of our defaults for legal issues. So I'll put those on the agenda. Please, when that agenda comes out, check the draft to make sure we don't forget, because like the department head meeting, I could.
These all pretty much say the same thing. Oh, no, this one says child protective. These are both, so I'm not reading it right. Yeah, these two have, so I thought one was for civil, am I correct on that?
I think that was probably gonna be Brian Hopkins at Mako. But yeah, you are correct on that. There was gonna be a civil.
Cause these both read the exact same. Oh, one was misdemeanor and Mary was for felony?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Corey, was Luke misdemeanor and Mary felony?
Luke is specifically if they're mental.
Mental, that was
That's
it.
okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, what about just agreement authorizing prosecutorial assistance?
Well,
Just do that.
we pulled 3 from the file here.
Hi, Win.
I'm just gonna ask a favor, not to interrupt. The gentleman that I talked to about the parking issue, I have Eric, he's gonna black out those lines and open up that sidewalk path. So that should be, we're gonna put no parking, on the ground there. So if you do see him, let him know. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Win.
Thanks, guys.
So should that be spelled out in these two agreements? One is for mental, as you did the child one, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. I mean, Luke's only planning to cover one category, and because he and I work together on these all the time, so
Okay.
they're ready for it. And then Mary is prepared to basically handle any emergency felony stuff. Anything else, they're gonna kick the can down the road. So I have 3 here from the past. One is from 2014, and that was for Valley County Attorney Nick Merton, and that was for John Wright. And that was a resolution. It's identical to the ones there. And then from this year, this is Luke Berger for a mental commitment case. This arose when I was off on a guard deal. And then this one's from 2014. This was Joe Nevin from the Department of Labor, and he was investigating a workers' comp fraud case that we ultimately filed and the guy pled guilty. So all 3 of them were resolutions. That's it, we need to do by resolution. We never passed, that I'm aware of, actually advertised it for 2 weeks. So that part just surprised me. So that is a requirement to advertise the full resolution for 2 weeks?
We actually, when I first started, did some resolutions that were less serious for 1 week. And, you know how you learn so often by making mistakes? We were informed that that is absolutely not okay. All resolutions have to be advertised in the legals for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So,
So what's gonna have to happen then is, for the Karen Kane one, that one is an emergency, that is just sort of, so I think we can do a emergency action and then do a follow-up hearing. Other 2 then, we're gonna have to advertise them, and if a mental deal arises though, it would arise as an emergency basis, and we would have to do it anyway, so just so you're aware. He's got to have to that usually comes at 10 o'clock at night, I get a call and, hey, we have somebody in the ER. That's usually about how much notice I have.
So can I ask a question into if we've done resolutions in the past but not advertised correctly, is there a way we can just do an agreement with another agency, bypass the resolution and it still hold the same clout?
Well, I would say, based on the,
So we don't have a 2-week waiting period?
I would say, we need to go ahead and follow the advertising period, if that's what it is. What I'm telling you is that if an emergency arises between now and the 2-week period, most of the lawyers are gonna have to jump in anyway on an emergency basis.
Sure. And the only reason why I ask is you have like, an agreement with, like the officers did this past weekend down in Three Forks, sent a few of our deputies, they had an agreement, they're gonna send some for our rodeo. They have an agreement to do so, because they're this, that, and the other. Is there a way that we can do that instead of going the resolution way?
I don't know, I'll have to look into it. This was an unexpected issue, so
Sure.
I'm gonna have to look into it. I mean, the Attorney General can prosecute in any, and his assistants can prosecute in any court anyway, so, by his statutory authority, so I'm not as concerned about that.
But this one that just arrived Friday, that needs to be handled.
That would
now.
definitely.
But if, I don't see anything, and you're the expert on the law, but it just seems to me it would be a whole lot more safe for the county if we could do an agreement versus a resolution. That way there would be no worry that we've got a 2-week period, and if something happens at 10 o'clock at night and the 3 of us are asleep and don't answer the phone, then.
We have this agreement.
Right, yeah. So, and then, what about both? Great idea. Can we do an agreement for now and follow up with a resolution so we have that back?
Sure. Where's the requirement on the 2-week advertisement though for a resolution? Where
In
is that?
Title VII. I don't know, I would Google it and then pull out my book. And I don't know
Well,
Google.
shoot, we can do that right now.
Well, we're not gonna address it right now. Let me,
We do kind of answer the question and suggestion.
Are those both resolution?
this is another one where we did, last year with the con case. And that was another resolution, but that was the AG's office as well. But that one was also done on emergency basis, because when that happened, we filed it within a couple days, filed that case in a couple days.
There's a way to maybe make sure that, regardless of what we did in the past, kind of like the phone bill and the mileage, we'll move forward and do things.
Okay, well,
With that?
let's do that then. I will,
Okay.
I'll do a little research on this and find out why, I mean, it is just that we didn't ever do this in the past, then we'll just have to change it, but.
Yeah.
Usually, we don't get a 2-week notice for a real crazy murder case where you.
Right.
get somebody out.
Oh, yeah, and that's understandable, so I think we need to button that up so we're covered either way.
I agree.
Right.
So will you reprint those into agreements at this point and do resolutions and do the legals, or what's your plan so that we know what we're doing too? Because we need to agenda.
Right. So I will, number one, I'll leave these with you. We can do these. We just can't do them immediately. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
And then do the agreements. So I'll leave those with you.
Okay.
And I'll I'm gonna do a little research on this and I'll send you an email. Probably by
Okay.
the end of the day tomorrow, exactly how I recommend it.
And if you want a template for the legal, you could get that from Michelle and Debbie, and then that to Dr. You
Who
do
sends
your
all
own.
the legals for the county?
It depends on who's requesting them, the department heads. Debbie and Michelle will do quite a few for the budget. Commission has done quite a few, and whoever else is requesting them will do theirs.
Okay.
Nicole is another one that does a lot of legals, the subdivisions,
All right.
and Julie does a lot, relatively speaking.
Normally the department head requesting.
The problem is I'm not gonna be here. Sure. Neither is my paralegal, so. We'll figure out.
And it
I'm
has to
sure.
be in by 5 today to do it in 2 weeks from today. But if we have an agreement, probably be best to get it done if we're gonna do a resolution.
Okay, so we better finish up our meeting here. John Wright, old business. We gotta do it here. And I don't even know if he's gonna show up because he has, told me he's not gonna participate in here. And, yeah, this morning, I don't know, were you guys privy what happened this morning?
Yeah, it happened right here.
So he came in and said, I can be here, the banning order is not in effect anymore, which is not true. So then he ended up over there, so I went over to talk to him and explain to him that the banning order is still in effect, and then got to the point where it was not productive to have conversations and all that. So, at that time, I also said, I've offered to you to do a hearing with the commissioners, and let's proceed to, they can either vote to get rid of it, to adjust it, to extend it, whatever they want to do. And he said, well, I'm not gonna do it. I said, well, okay, we'll invite you, you don't have to be there. So I would ask that we just schedule it,
We can do that right now.
preferably right after Labor Day. It would be that week right after Labor Day, if that's doable. Is that doable?
Sure. We've had this on our list of things to do. Other things have kind of pushed it back, and then also some of our department heads, needs for work, summer vacations, summer is the busy time period. So, it's been on our list of things to do.
So would like the week of the 12th be,
The jury trial, that, ironically, John Wright jury trial.
oh,
So do you want it before that or after that, I guess, then becomes the next question.
because we could do the week of the, it's a short week of the week of the 5th.
Well, I
Sure.
am worried about that then, if it's right before the trial, because it could, yeah.
So the week of the 19th then?
You know what we're gonna do then? Let's just let the jury trial happen first and then let's schedule it. 'Cause-
Okay.
Play by ear?
Well, the week of the 19th is not good because you have a Mako conference that week.
Well, we usually cancel our meeting then that week.
So the only week left would be the 26th.
Okay, well, let's not schedule it then.
Okay.
Let's figure out the trial, because the trial could make the whole thing move. Okay. Galzagori documents, I met with Julie, I got her documents, I got Commissioner Overt's binder. The question is there a difference in the binder between, that the three commissioners got? You all got the same binder?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so then I'll just have one copy of the binder. Any emails, notes, memos, anything like that needs to be provided to me. And then the last thing is I'm gonna meet tomorrow with Nicole Brown and get all the planning stuff. And then I'll have all the documents and we'll get an estimated cost for copying, provide that to them. And if they're willing to pay the copying cost, then we'll copy them and send them to them, okay?
Perfect.
We had a hospital district meeting last week, and they signed the lease that had been approved but had to be modified due to some just outdated language that needed to be fixed. So the lease between the hospital and the hospital district for the facility and the real property underneath it. They also executed or received the quitclaim deed, which the hospital had already executed for the real property. Because the physical ground that's right outside this parking lot here has been owned all these years by the hospital, the nonprofit organization, and nobody knew that. Everybody thought it was owned by the hospital district. Apparently, it was all the way back to 1986, when the hospital district first got bonds to finance the construction of the facility and other things. There was an agreement, there was a letter between John Flynn and the attorney for the hospital from Helena, reviewing the lease agreement and mentioning in there that we're going to execute the quitclaim deed for the property. They never did it. Or if they did, they didn't record it, because it doesn't exist. So last year, as we were digging around through all these things, we found out that in fact, the hospital, the nonprofit still owned that land. The building on top of the land is owned by the hospital district, which is an organ of the county. So the hospital signed a quitclaim deed to the hospital district. So now, as of last week, the hospital district owns the land as well as the building on top of it. So that was a good thing to get that done. There were 2 loans that the hospital district got through the Montana, the Board of Investments, intercap loans, similar to what's been discussed for our search and rescue grant. 2 different loans, one secured by the special mill levy that the voters have approved, and we just apparently we did levy the money and we have year 1 of the money. So they're about to make the first payment on that next month. The second loan, which they have not yet drawn on, but is for other construction and repairs of the facility itself. That one will be paid back through the rent that the hospital will pay to the district for use of the facility. And their agreement is set up that the hospital district will pay monthly rent in order to cover the district's loan, so it's never in arrears. And then the life of the loan is also the life of the lease. So at the time that loan is paid off in 15 years, the lease will also be up for renegotiation. So now, obviously, the building is still there in 15 years. I suspect that will be a time for conversation on who knows what, tearing down and building a new one, or who knows what it'll be. But it wouldn't surprise me if that's the conversation that they're having in 15 years. So that's that. Give you that update. I have 3 things here that are land use things that I have just kind of gathered the documents and I just haven't done anything with them yet. One of them is Broadwater Conservation District's 310 permit decision letter for Montana Gulch and Tracy Fortner. Are you guys aware of this at all?
Not the specific, no.
I'm not either, but it's something that's come to me just recently, and I'm supposed to look at it. So the other one is Kavanaugh subdivision, and there are some issues that Doug Ellis has been corresponding with Tara Depew from the Mango Land Use Attorney, and anyway, this is a civil issue that I intend to spend some time with Tara on, and it's fairly new. I just haven't dealt with it yet. Third one is the SJN subdivision. You know where it's SJN subdivision?
No.
What?
SJN subdivision.
Where's that located?
I don't even know. The backstory is that there was a lawsuit among some of the members of the subdivision back in the day, and there was a lawsuit over specifically some road standards within that subdivision. And now some folks that are owners of some of the lots want to expand the roads, and there's an issue of whether previous court rulings will not allow them to expand the roads. So my point is that those are three civil issues that have arisen recently that I've been gathering documents on. And Tara is involved in two of them, in terms of police review things and sending them. And I'm concerned about them, and I just haven't been able to engage at great length. I'll tell you what's kind of been going on criminally. In the last week, we have completed 4 felony investigations, and we'll be filing those. I'll be filing them before I leave. We've had 4 new felonies that have come to us for investigation in the last week. We've had the 2 youth and youth care. It's really 3 cases that Karen King can help me on. We've had 4 fairly complex misdemeanor investigations that have been completed that we also have to file before I leave. Had 2 DUIs, and we have 2 criminal briefs in 2 briefs in criminal cases. So this in the last 7 days, that's the level of criminal activity that we're dealing with as law enforcement investigating. So Friday afternoon after court was my civil work time, and I wasn't even done talking to the judge. I got pulled out. We went this one youth case, which turned into, I came back here and wrote search warrants with Detective Braddock. Went there, served the search warrants, made some arrests. At about 7:30 p.m., I said, okay, my work's done, I'm out of here. The cops were there past midnight. So that kind of ruined some of the civil projects I'm gonna have. So I'm just letting you know that I am full of eagerness to not only dig into these issues, but dig into proactively dealing with issues for the commission. I will tell you though that some of the folks in this county aren't on board with that because they keep derailing me to deal with their problems. So, working on it.
Appreciate that.
Last issue.
Second to the last.
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Last issue is, I am not clear on, we had, as I mentioned in the budget meeting we had with Debbie and Michelle last week, and had to request some adjustments because of some funds that were not clear to us, and I think we got that fairly well figured out. So in the process, they both said to me that they pay claims, if a claim is in the submitted folder, and it goes away, they don't know where it goes, I'm assuming commissioners grab it and look at it. If it comes back to them, signed, approved by a commissioner, they pay it. By one commissioner. Their understanding is that the approval of one commissioner is all that's needed to pay a claim. And I said, well, you mean if the commission itself votes on them to approve it? And they said, oh no, we just, if it comes back and it's been signed, we pay it. We don't ask for the vote. So I just want to clarify, I got the impression that 2 things. I was not comfortable with how, maybe how clearly understood the process is for everybody involved. And secondly, they don't keep track of, like, let's say I submit a claim for, which I do every month, for LexisNexis for my legal research. If it goes in there and the commissioner grabs it, they don't keep track of the fact that the May LexisNexis claim is pending. So it could go and never come back, and they wouldn't, in 3 months, start asking, hey, where's this claim? When it comes back, whenever it comes back, okay, it's been approved, we pay. In other words, I don't know that there is a detailed ledger in, ledger out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And my sense of it was, because I asked about a couple of particular claims that I was asked, that I was looking for, they couldn't tell me where they were. And I was kind of not comfortable with that. So I'm bringing that to your attention because I want to find out where, if you have the same level of discomfort, or if you are telling me there's nothing to worry about.
The way it works, and if you want this in a policy, if you want a piece of it changed, that's fine. This is one of those things, kind of like the resolutions, it's just been practiced, but it's certainly something we can perfect. All 3 commissioners are responsible for looking at the claims. If a commissioner has a challenge to a claim, they need to bring that forward for all commissioners. If they don't, it has been practiced that they were initialed by just the chair. So, we could certainly have all three initial every claim. 2 is required. Nick signs a lot of them, that's new. And this is, again, going back way before me, so it's just long-term time practice. Nobody should be removing those claims from the top file, except for a commissioner taking them to look at them, or Michelle or Debbie. People put their claims in there, we look at them, sign them, put them back.
Okay. So let's start with the first part though. Does the commission vote on every claim?
After they are approved, yes, we vote on the approved claims on a final document that has the total from the week before.
And a list of all the claims that were looked at.
Okay.
And who it went to and for how much.
Okay, are there claims out there that a single commissioner has initialed or signed and said approved? They initiate payment on, and the commissioners either have not yet voted to approve them, or for whatever reason, they never end up voting to approve them. In other words, is one person's initial money from Crawford County is going down the road to somebody else, and the commission didn't vote on it.
We don't vote on any of them prior to.
Prior
All
to what?
three, prior to paying them. Well, not prior to paying them, I guess the way it works is they're initialed as being okayed. They go to the process where there is a ledger put together that is the paid to who and for how much. That's what we vote on, and then Michelle writes the checks at that point. So nothing is paid by the strength of one commissioner, but the only initial that has appeared on the claims is the chairman of the
Okay.
board. And
I don't-
adding other initials, I think, would be a better idea. I like that Nick has started doing that.
My perception from that conversation last week is that that is not their understanding. It comes back with the initial of a single commissioner and they pay.
We
That's
move
what they told
to
me.
pay the approved claims. That's our motion every week.
So,
So those can't be paid until we have that documentation
So the way-
that goes to Ann.
the way it works is you go down in there, and there's files on the wall. What I've been doing is I go through every Monday, with the exception of today, go through, and I go through all the claims, and I initial every single one that I put hands on, I look at, and don't have questions on. If I have questions, I then take that claim and to the people that have the answers. Then after I get my answers, I initial that I have seen it and it's gone through my hands. Then, once with that, after that Monday, so the following Monday, we get a breakdown of all the claims that were supposed to go through my hands, her hands, and his hands. And we vote on paying those claims. So it's always a week behind, so to speak.
Okay, so they don't cut a check till that vote.
Correct.
Correct, absolutely.
I'm just telling you that that's not what they told me.
Okay, so we need to remedy that.
I had
Right.
two episodes of incredulity in that conversation, that was one of them. And I said, whoa, you can't pay it until the commission votes on it and approves it. And they said, oh, but we can pay it off of a single commissioner's approval.
No, because then that would totally,
Obviously, that would be, we all agree, that doesn't make any sense.
right?
And I would caution that maybe there was, again, some misunderstanding or miscommunication. And maybe we all need to just sit down and have a chat. But I don't see how they could do that.
Cause I
agree.
so
agree.
the way
What I'm saying is, I stopped the conversation and I said, whoa, explain to me what you're telling me, and they did. And then I said, you can't pay that without two commissioners. And they said, no, we can pay it off of a single commissioner. And I said, actually, you can't by law. And they said, oh, yeah, we can. And I said, okay, I'll talk to commissioners and see where the disconnect here is.
I think I see where the misconnect is. What I think when you are into a process, sometimes it's easy to skip over a process because you do it all the time. It's not one of those things that you necessarily talk about. I would bet what they were referring to is the claims just show one initial. Not that it has been approved for payment, but it has been initialed by one person because that is how we've done things,
Okay,
just
well, I'm just
share.
telling you that there were 5 people in the room,
Yeah,
and all 5 of them heard the same thing, and the thing that we all heard was why I'm here today telling you that we need to check into this, because I'm not comfortable that this is being done correctly.
so what we
I
might
agree.
need to do is get a stamp that says, or a stamp on that say approved after that Monday meeting or whatever.
And
But then she wouldn't be able to put them into the ledger. I
So-
think what we need to do is just talk to them and clarify, because I think this really does, more than anything, get into a miscommunication. I think they skipped a step because it is so common for them.
So what I'm suggesting though, I will tell you that I've sat in here on multiple meetings and heard the back and forth over, well, I don't know where this claim is, I haven't seen this claim, the claims are down there, you need to go look at them all. You need to take that component of mystery out of it somehow. And I don't understand why it would be a problem to have a pile of claims here in a box or a manila envelope or whatever. And if you have a question about a particular one, you pull it out and look at it. Because the idea of there's claims in a rat hole in the basement, that needs to die.
I don't like rat hole.
Okay,
I don't like that at all.
Think of a better term then,
Corey, the reason they're not up in these meetings is because they did start disappearing. But the biggest issue is, once we started pulling those out, it was brought to us by accounting, and they were right. Some of those claims, a bunch of them we've gotten in the last month, had social security numbers on them for the
but I'm
W-4s.
not asking you to broadcast them on a big
The
screen.
thing is,
You're
Corey,
looking at
is
them down there,
by
right?
law, there's been many, many examples of this, and this just comes from training, but anything that's out here is public domain. And we've had a number of citizens come and go through the claims with different commissioners to see what's in them. If we start opening up people's medical records and social security numbers, that's a really bad thing. What we had were the claims just left on the table and nobody in here. Anybody could walk through
So
and grab a
what
couple.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that we just kind of lay them out and leave them irresponsibly. What I'm suggesting is, and we know that's not true. We know that if someone has an individual expectation of privacy, and that would include personal identification information like their social security number or their medical records, we know that those aren't open to the public. What I'm suggesting is 2 things. One, you develop a process where we no longer have to hear among these 3 people, primarily these 2 at the table, well, I don't know where these claims are, well, you should have seen them, you should have looked at them, all that. There's no reason for that. Let's eliminate that, and let's do it in some manner where there's no longer a question of, is a claim missing? And secondly, in the process, do it in a way where it protects someone's private information, yet there is a component, certainly numbers that are available to the public. Now, there are some numbers that even that in itself, it shouldn't be Dr. So-and-so, that everyone knows is the #1 psychiatrist in the state of Montana, claim for an individual. That in itself is private information. So that in itself should be shielded from the public, even as the commission approves the pay. Just an example. That's probably a bad example because that would have gone for health insurance anyway. But there's a way to do it. And all I'm suggesting is, I am bringing this to you because I have extreme discomfort out of the meeting I had last week and out of the continuation of hearing of where's this claim, where's that claim. And I discovered that no one has a master ledger that says claim number 3,281 is here. It was checked out by this commissioner and reviewed, put back. This commissioner checked it out and put it back. And now it's gone to the commission meeting on this date, voted for, denied, and this is what's happening. There's no such thing as that master ledger that I'm aware of. There is of what was paid, but all those steps along the way, those are those links in the chain that there's conspiracy theories that somewhere along the way, a link's been cut and 3 or 4 or 12 claims have been taken off and have been stuck in a hole. I would suggest that let's tighten up that process and eliminate that rumor mill.
It's probably not a bad idea.
I
to
mean,
do the
we
process.
have to check out the legal books for crying out loud when I first got here. You can look down on that list. I had to check that out.
That's
Um,
news to me. Really?
Oh, yeah. I had to
I've
sign it
just
out.
been grabbing them and taking them downstairs. I'm glad to know that.
I think that's, so if we do that type of thing, because we do get claims from all different entities, we can look at Commissioner Slivka's claims, for example, we'd have to,
Or here that,
right, we'd have to develop some sort of numbering system and assign it to, say, 1 through, I don't know how many the sheriff's office goes through a year. 1 through 1,000 are sheriff's office, 2,000 through 4,000 are county
or
attorney.
just have like the first 2 digits is the department. Two
Or, yeah.
is sheriff's office, and then however many number consecutively they do.
And I
1
think
5 is county attorney's office, however many they do from here.
Sure.
we should put this to Michelle and Debbie,
Yeah.
because what we're talking about is adding an awful lot to their workload. It's still not a bad idea. Tammy used to try and number them,
Right.
but that became just too big of a headache for her.
That's a good point, because their
So-
software, we already have a numbering system, so we may not need to reinvent anything.
Sure.
And for them to be able to run a report, they could run a report on all the claims that I've submitted this
Yeah,
year.
the only problem that I foresee is, all departments do is print off this document. This document, it doesn't have a number on there. So when they're in the file like this, I grab it out and look, there's no number or anything on it, I just initial it after I look at it and go through it. So the numbering system wouldn't work unless each department was assigned a group of numbers, like, and put it on there so the ledger could be filled in. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we have it on, when I worked over at the sheriff's office, you had it on your desktop, you filled it in, printed it off, and sent it over.
Right,
So,
and they keep the originals.
yep, so it would be, you know, on the top, this is document number, like you said, 22-001. That's the first invoice of the year. So we'd have to, as the part, so maybe we can talk about this in our department head meeting, is assigning numbers to each one to put on their claims, so we could somewhat keep track, because I agree.
Yeah, I think that the key players in putting together this policy are Michelle
Oh, yeah.
and Debbie, and then I think it will be something the department heads have to take on as part of their responsibility.
Especially now that we're in a new fiscal year, it's a
Yeah.
great time to start.
And we'll have to have a date, I would think, from this date on, the claims are available to be reviewed. My practice has just been Mondays after our meetings, but we'll have to figure out something.
And whether it's we take after our 1:30 with you, and the 3 of us sit down and go through them, then I guess, you know, that's part of our duties as commission, to alleviate some of those concerns.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of give on all sides of this. And we can definitely mosey down there and grab them and come up here and the 3 of us go through them.
Okay.
yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different methods that could be acceptable. I just think pick one that works.
Exactly.
It's as streamlined as you can make it. Okay.
Yeah. The one thing I had is a request again from the accounting department. You have this folder, and this is Debbie's. That's the most recent claim for 2 years now. The database ledger load from Department of Administration has been charging us a late fee. It delayed our submittal of the budget last year. And we need some legal guidance on that before we get too far behind in all those late fees.
Yeah, so what happened, we asked Harold Blatty about this, and what did he tell us?
I don't know, you were gonna follow up with him, and I don't know what happened. Harold,
That's what happened.
about a year and a half ago, he was gonna have a meeting, Department of Admin. There were a couple of counties that were having this issue, so, yeah, we need a resolution.
You know if did the other counties pay it or tell them?
The county auditor said that we shouldn't pay it, and that's all in there. And then Department of Admin said, well, you have to pay it. What happened is we again, this was like 2 years ago, so I'm gonna miss some steps, but we contracted with D&D CPAs, Bob Denning, to do that part of it for us. Department of Administration had come up with something new that they wanted to use as a tool to present to the legislature. All the numbers, instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4, were ONETWOFOUR. And so it was very hard to track errors, to add down columns, because they wanted everything written out. So Bob spent like 400 hours on this at a fee of like $400, and it was ridiculous. He finally said, this is ridiculous. I've submitted everything, accept it or don't. And they pretty much said, no, we're not going to accept it, and started sending late fees. And I called Department of Admin during this, and she said that they would waive a certain part, but not a certain part. And I said, well, can you send me any documentation as to the MCA or the ARMS stating we have to pay this? And I have not heard anything back since. Harold Gladdy, then we had contacted him, and he said he was aware of the issue. We weren't the only county. He was going to talk to Department of Admin and to contact you. That's when we gave you a file on this. And we've just been kind of combining late fees ever since.
It's 267, right?
That was what it was last, and I'm not sure what it is now. It's not, again, it's not a lot of money in the overall scheme of things, but there is a precedent, there's a policy, and there's, you know, is this something we should just pay it, or should we follow a process? And if there is a process, what does it say?
You know, just sitting through today and just, we gotta stick to our processes, because that's what's starting to get us into trouble, not following our processes. So whether we develop the right processes or we continue to follow the processes that we have set, we have to stick to a process. Because that's what starts to divide, is once we pick and choose.
What exactly is DDL?
Database ledger load.
So it should be DLL?
I think it is DLL.
What does that mean?
That's what they developed for this legislature, was a database ledger load, and you, I would imagine, load your ledgers on the database. But I can't answer the question as to why or what the purposes were. All I know is we thought we complied, our auditors thought we complied, and we need.
So and the auditors were the ones that were trying to submit it? Is that right? On our
They did
behalf?
submit it. Mhm.
Now, what kind of contract do we have with the auditors?
The standard auditing contract with a piece of it that said we will submit the database ledger load on your behalf. We
Does
paid
it
a certain
include-
amount.
Does it include an indemnification clause for errors that they made in addition to their job?
I have no idea.
Okay. I would tell
I
the
think that's
auditors
in-
that either they need to pay it or they need to tell the state why we shouldn't pay it.
Well, I kind of think you should tell them as the county attorney on our behalf, since this is a legal issue.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Could I get the copy of the agreement between us and the auditor that will allow?
Sure.
that?
Yep.
Okay.
You wanna take this, you want me to keep this?
You can put it in the file for our meeting,
Got it.
and I will ask Michelle to follow your language on the legal ad for the agenda. And then if we could get an agreement, we could get that signed on Monday, if that's,
Yes.
unless you want it signed before that, Corey.
Oh, is that mine?
No, it was in the file. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna email some folks and do more research on this, and I'll send you something tomorrow for sure.
And then, so yeah, do you need, since we are doing the resolution, you'll notice we have a 50-minute window to get a hold of raw water reporter.
Yeah, I'll email those to them.
Okay. Roger that.
I gotta tell you, that just sounds awful. But life is a
if we don't have to follow that, it makes it
Makes it a lot easier.
resolutions easier, yeah, and quicker. So, yeah, share what you find, if you will. All right, anything else for the good of the order? We're adjourned at 4:10. You guys would review the agenda?
Yes.
That'd be great. And I'll let you give Michelle that language, Carrie.
What language?
If you do a resolution, the language for the agenda, the resolution has to state the